into the Horrorcraft Podcast.
Horror fans, it's me, Kylie, and this is Horrorcraft Reviews. Today we are talking about a new supernatural horror movie called Bury the Devil. First, a huge shout out to Sophia from Pixel Scene Media for giving us the opportunity to screen and review this movie. We appreciate you so much, but ain't nothing to it but to get into it, so let's do it. The story follows Julia, a hospice nurse who becomes trapped inside a isolated home of her dementia patient, Evelyn. As Evelyn begins behaving strangely off-rip, Julia realizes there may be something far more sinister happening than just the dementia, with an otherworldly demonic presence seemingly seeping through all the old house. Julia has to fight to survive the night while uncovering the terrifying truth before it's too late. The film is directed by Adam O'Brien and is shot in real time as a continuous single shot experience, which makes everything feel incredibly immediate and just kind of claustrophobic. Now, hospice nurse, dementia patient, isolated house, sign me up as far as a movie. Maybe not actually doing that. I'm just kidding. I applaud a lot of hospice nurses. I feel like that is a hard job, and I know it takes a really loving, special kind of person to do so. But being in an isolated home, I'm not so sure. But anyways, I was immediately intrigued by this. Right from the beginning, Julia is this kind, caring, attentive hospice nurse. Exactly the type of person you would hope to have during end-of-life care for yourself or for your loved one. She gets Evelyn into bed and walks out of the room, and then Evelyn suddenly is kneeling beside the bed praying. And listen, for someone with dementia who is also on hospice, this woman sure moved pretty damn quick. That immediately just kind of sets the tone for the movie. And it's dark, it's thundering and lightning, and Evelyn is just saying some seriously weird things, which can be expected. But you can already feel that something is very, very wrong. And now Julia is on the phone having a heated conversation with her dad when Evelyn suddenly comes downstairs carrying a fire poker, asking Julia who she is and why she's in the house. And again, this woman moves very, very quickly for someone who is in end-of-life care, and I don't trust it at all. Then Julia starts hearing knocking and strange noises throughout the house, and it almost is like someone's crawling across the floor and clawing. It's kind of terrifying. And then a man named Randall shows up, claiming he used to be Evelyn's husband. Gee, sir, who is showing up this late at night during a storm? But it's fine. But Randall has questions about an inscription and wants to know where the rest of it is when he's talking to Evelyn. And he gets increasingly angry, and Julia tells him he needs to leave, as anyone in her position would do. And before he goes, he tells her that she has absolutely no idea what's going on in that house and with Evelyn. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. Julia later finds Evelyn outside and starts asking her about Sarah, because you hear this tape recording of a little girl's voice, and Evelyn has brought up Sarah. And eventually, you get the idea that Sarah was Randall and Evelyn's daughter who passed away. But eventually, Julia gets Evelyn back inside, only to find her digging through the trash in the kitchen, growling, and then crawling back upstairs. And at this point, I'm sorry, I'm calling the police. I'm calling, my boss, supervisor who has employed me to come here as a hospice nurse, and I'm dipping out. Or Randall just needs to come back. But consider me fired. I don't know. I'm just not doing it. But then, again, Julia discovers tape recordings of a little girl and a woman and a book filled with strange symbols and a black light that, the ones that reveal blood, she sees that and is seeing that there is blood throughout the house. And on pictures, there's bloody footprints Julia follows and discovers just disturbing pictures scattered throughout the home, they're on the pictures on the walls, but when she shines the light, there's the disturbing pictures, symbols. Yeah. Again, 911 immediately. But then another man shows up, another man. Like, who are these people? What are they doing? You know, and Julia does what any reasonable person would do. She pepper sprays him. And good for her. Like, women, we need to be carrying these things with us. But eventually Randall returns, and we learn that he and Evelyn had a child named Sarah. And they believe they failed to protect her. Evelyn has been carrying around this strange figure thing in her hand, and Randall wants it from her. He asks why she keeps messing with it, and Evelyn basically explains that she misses Sarah, and it kind of just keeps her closer to Sarah. Randall tells her that he can make things right. They end up burying Evelyn again, and she has this object in her hands. And then Evelyn's voice changes, and she says, "Why? So you can bury me again?" And clearly, that's when shit just gets crazy, and that is not Evelyn. That is an entity. And that scene was pretty badass. I liked how that played out. But this is really where the movie starts kicking things up several notches. Julia finds Evelyn and tries to clean her up, and Evelyn tells her that the men are gone, which they kind of are, except actually they're really actually not. They come back looking for the figure Evelyn has been holding onto, eventually taking it from Julia and attempting to bury it again. And from there, it becomes pure nightmare fuel, y'all. I'm not going to spoil what happens next, because honestly, you need to watch it and experience it for yourself. Bury the Devil gets a 7 out of 10 for me. I thought this was a really solid supernatural kind of like just possession type movie. The atmosphere and the cinematography were just fantastic, and I absolutely love the continuous single shot approach. It makes you feel just completely immersed in kind of like what's happening, and there's no easy cutaway from the horror that made the movie feel much more claustrophobic and at times just genuinely terrifying. And I was just locked in. It kept you invested. Now, I will say that pacing does feel a little bit slow in places, but I also think that was intentional, which is fine. Some people may not like it. I did. The movie makes you sit in that uncomfortable dread and let certain scenes breathe instead of just constantly throwing something at you and jump scares. And honestly, I can get behind that. I liked it a lot. And now, if you're a fan of supernatural horror, possession movies, creepy isolated houses, and atmospheric horror that just gets under your skin, I definitely recommend checking this one out. Bury the Devil hits select theaters and on VOD on August 21st of this year. And that's going to do it for another round of Horrorcraft Reviews. Stay weird and stay spooky. Bye!